Welcome everyone to episode. What is this? Six, seven,
Six or seven, yeah.
six episode 1 year
We'll
later.
figure it out in post editing.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll put it in and we'll fix it in post. Um, episode 1 year later. I think Jason did mention it has been like literally a year since we've done this. Mainly because we were saying there's not really been anything to talk about. I feel like 2022 was just kind of like an off year. We just don't talk about it. Like
It
when
was
we
the
look,
COVID year for Enlisted.
yeah, like when we look back through the history of Enlisted, like 2022 is just gonna be like we don't talk about that, right? That's like 1936 to 1945 Germany, right? You just don't. You just
Nothing happened.
that nothing happened during that time. All right. That's not a very good joke, but yeah, it's the first anniversary of the 5th episode. Panda says, there you go. But yeah, so there is something to talk about. It's the roadmap. I should probably pull the roadmap up. Can I throw it just like on?
I got it up here on mine, but obviously you can't see
Oh,
it.
it's the whole screen. There we go. We'll throw it down here. We're professional here. Oh no, we're hiding chat. Well, kind of fits here. If you're watching this on YouTube, you already know my channel. So, there you go. So that you can kind of see stuff. So yeah, so roadmap came out for Enlisted. I kind of feel like when we planned to do this, I don't know why. I felt like I thought we'd get a little bit more to talk about. Like I feel like there's some stuff to talk about and we can go through each and everything, but I feel like the things that we're gonna want to talk about are gonna be in the future. You know what I mean? Although there are some forum posts. I don't know if you guys have been on the forums at all.
I have. I've been.
You've seen KO Fox?
Yeah, been stalking that shit.
Yeah, because KO Fox has been pretty active talking about stuff, so that's going to be something that we can also mention. But I figured, yeah, we can just kind of give initial thoughts on the roadmap and then go through each individual thing on the roadmap. That sounds good to everybody.
Yeah,
and then maybe just like throw stuff out to chat, see if they have anything they want to ask. We could talk about. I think I had some YouTube comments that were actually pretty decent, like things.
Yeah, I've got a couple stuff that people asked too
You're
already.
prepared. All right,
I did.
So I guess I'll start with just my general thoughts on the roadmap. So just like when I went through it and I looked at it, right? I think my initial impression is just, thank God we have something. Like, I don't think there's anything in the roadmap that we didn't really know was going to happen outside of stuff like, the major UI upgrade. Like, these are problems that we know have existed in the game for a long time. And it's kind of this thing of like, well, they have to deal with it at some point, right? But I feel like over the course of like 2022, I was like, maybe they're just not going to deal with it, and then the game's just never going to get better. So seeing it on the roadmap to me is kind of like oh, well, of course this is going to be on the roadmap. So this isn't really like exciting or a surprise to me, but it's nice in the sense of like, hey, they've acknowledged that this is a problem, and hey, we're going to work on this. And again, there's not really anything on here. I mean, new type of aircraft weapons is kind of interesting, and yeah, I mean, yeah, like it's its own can of worms. And new types of ground vehicles. The biggest surprise to me was the class and getting a new class. So that's something I would definitely want to talk about. But yeah, overall, I'm just glad that we got something that confirms that like they're working on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, to me, the biggest things that I noticed when I first looked at it is one, how organized it is, right? Like I noticed right off the bat, it's in 4 quadrants for the 4 quarters of the business year. Like that was the first thing I noticed. I'm like, okay, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, right? That's insane to me that they like organized it even in that. I was like, because if you look at like, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, it's actually kind of we noticed that as well, but we asked Vault and she said that it's not. I don't know what's happening with it because it does seem very organized and they have like the new battle pass 4 times, so you kind of assume like, yeah, it's four major updates, 4 battle passes. but she said that it's not actually set up like that. So I feel like,
Really?
yeah. So I think that it is, but they like organized it weirdly. Because like I asked her about it, and she was like, "No, it's not like it's gonna be update 1, 2, 3, 4. It's more of just kind of like this is how they organized it." I don't really know, and if Vault is in chat, I don't know if she is or not. But you can also tell because they said that in the near future we're gonna have new info about the progression system. I think that's gonna be the first major update, right, of the year, and that's on the second line.
Yeah, I mean,
So it's weird, right? Like,
right, and then you get
yeah,
into like you get into these things too, right, where you see like the blown out holes in the walls, right,
yeah,
and you see little dots next to them. I'm like, okay, so they're like purposely not putting things in there. Like, I don't know what what it
yeah.
says next to the machine gun. Is it like
I
announce?
think it's
Like,
supposed to be announcement,
Announce, yeah.
but I
but
don't
then
know how
like
to use the
everything,
E at the end. Yeah,
yeah, like they're like blowing it. They've like blown
yeah.
out what it's announcing. Like to me, like that's what blew me away is like how organized it seemed like it was.
Ah, yeah, yeah,
Like it's like okay, like they've got like a legit plan for 2023 is what it seemed like to me. Like
yeah.
here's the quarters that we're going to be doing things on, whether or not that is the case or not. I was like, man, like they've really bullet pointed this down.
It
I
feels like
felt
it.
like
Yeah, it feels like at least even if like this that what we got isn't organized, it feels like at least behind the scenes they have it organized,
yeah,
right? Like
100%.
which is great, right? It feels like there is actual direction for the game that didn't really feel like it was there since like what June of 2021. Like,
I mean, the last
At
time we had a
least
roadmap was 2017. That is the
yeah,
last roadmap we've ever had for Enlisted,
yeah, and
which like that's crazy to me.
yeah, and I don't like. I don't know. The blown out parts of it are kind of neat, but like I think the like the launch on blank and the announce or whatever, like by the machine gun, by the Maxim, I think those are fine because it's kind of like, oh, what does it say? You can kind of speculate. But the just like generally blown out holes with a dot, I'm like, what do you want me to think about that? Like, oh, you're adding
new
something.
premium units.
Yeah, right. That's what it's a good meme template. Right? Like
Yeah.
that's fantastic because like that was the meme that I sent to Mike in the CC Discord was I put Quadro gets a Car 98 trench in the little blown out hole.
Nice.
And so yeah, and like ban JDOSer and like all these, it's got great meme potential. For
Right,
sure.
right.
But like from like a player perspective and from like the devs, I'm kind of like, what do you want me to think about this? Like the launch on, I can get like, okay, what are you launching on? Like we can talk about that, but these other ones, I'm like,
Right.
what do I don't have anything to go off of, you know? But still,
Yeah.
it's not like it's not like a deal breaker. Like I'm not like mad. It's more of just kind of like, okay, you're working on something and I don't know. This is just a feeling I've had before, you know?
No, no, no. I get it 100%.
Yeah,
I did find it interesting for sure, but yeah, the roadmap is interesting. I do think it is funny, just in a meme way too, that they did put new Battle Pass season, several big events, four
yeah,
fucking times. Like you couldn't have just
which
put it like large at the bottom.
yeah,
Like
which
it's just
which
be like,
again, which plays into that like four major updates thing that you were saying. Like,
yeah. Like this is the
yeah,
four quadrants that you want
it's
us to.
it feels a little bit like maybe this is, like DeWin said, this is a first roadmap iteration. Maybe they're working out some of the kinks with how to make a roadmap, but that's, one interesting thing that I didn't really realize in my video until I went back and read it is up at the top. I don't know if like I immediately obviously get drawn to the roadmap, but up at the top it does say it says a complete rework of the progression system, campaigns, and matchmaking.
I did notice that. I did
Yeah,
notice the
Yes.
matchmaking.
I did not notice that until after I'd made my video, and I did. I said it in my short video, I think, but like, yeah, they're gonna have actual matchmaking, and does that mean like what is that gonna look like? Do you guys think that's gonna tie into like progression in the way that War Thunder does it, or do you guys think that it's gonna be like actual, like some sort of SBMM?
I think it's more. I don't know. Like me
It depends
personally.
also on how the progression system is implemented, if it would support that or not.
Good point.
Absolutely.
I'm going to take the general like low road here, I guess is the best way to say it. I think
Yeah.
matchmaking is literally kind of what they're already doing. Have you noticed like how queue times have gotten a little longer? Like when you're trying to queue into a game, or at least for me, I think matchmaking is just, hey, look, we're going to try to put you in matches full of people. Like we're not going
Oh,
to just like
okay.
throw you in there and try to like fill it, and then
With
fill it with
bots.
bots.
Okay.
Like the queue times will get longer and you're actually going to play against people. Like, and honestly, that's great for me because I'd
Yeah.
rather
Oh,
play
like
against
Okay.
people.
Sure.
The good old days of closed beta where you'd start with 2 people in a match and nothing but bots.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think it's just going to be, look, we're going to put you in matches versus people.
Okay.
Is what I'm taking it as.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that for sure. Yeah, because I kind of agree. I don't really think that they're gonna do like full SBMM because one,
No.
I just don't think that Enlisted needs that in any way, shape, or form. And I know a lot of people out there hate skill-based matchmaking with like a burning passion, for a variety of reasons. But I just don't think that Enlisted needs it. Like, I just think it's such a casual game that
Right.
like just throw some players together. I think if they're gonna do anything, they would do like you said, like, hey, we're doing real players, and then maybe do something with like the level discrepancy, right? Like make like I don't know. I know like World of Tanks and stuff, they have like, okay, I guess War Thunder does it too, where you have like, okay, you have a couple high tier players, and then most people are kind of in the same area, and then maybe you have a couple low tier kind of thing.
I
Like, I
mean,
think that would be okay.
yeah, I mean, that's going to be true. I don't think they're going to do like War Thunder with like a BR system, though, based off of like, even if they rework the progression system, I don't think it's going to ever be on a BR system.
That'd be
Yeah.
so hard to do
It
with
would be.
small arms.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and plus, like, what are you going to do with Japan with the BR system? Like, hey, they don't have that many weapons. Like, how the hell are you going to break that up?
It's really abusable. Like,
Yeah, like, there's no way you're going to be able to break that unless you're going to like go completely unhistorical, which they've clearly said hundreds of times over. They're going to try to keep this as historical, and I say that in quotation marks,
right.
as possible.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, historical enough.
Yeah, historical enough.
I think Panda's right. He said protection for new players from max campaign people is what they need, and I think I agree
Yes.
with that. And it's
That is a good one.
it's a double-edged sword because on one hand, this is something that we always talk about. Like, Enlisted's this weird thing where people say like, oh, it's pay to win, it's pay to win, it's pay to win, and I don't really think it's that pay to win. I think the thing about it is that having high level gear is like, it's like a force multiplier, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're good and you also have high level gear, you're unstoppable. I mean, a good player with an MP43 is going to be a lot better than a good player with, an
A
MP40
Springfield.
or a Springfield. But a good player is going to be just as effective as a Springfield, right? Like, a good player with a Springfield is still going to shit on a bad player, regardless of what gear they have, right? And so, like,
Right, but you can't push points. Like, you're not going to be able to push points as
true.
effectively.
Yeah, and
That's
like,
the thing, is like,
you're definitely like at a disadvantage, but even still, like, a good player can carry any match, and that's why I don't think that it's necessarily pay to win. But I do think that like there's a problem where really high level veteran players, because if you are high level, you're more than likely a veteran player because you played the game so much, because the grind is so insane that like you're just gonna shit on people, right? Like, I could go equip all Springfields, and because I have 2,000 hours on the game, I can dominate people, right?
no, I agree,
Yeah.
but like Panda
Mhm.
says too, like that's where the imbalances actually gets
Yes,
into, is when you
for
get into the
sure.
vehicles, right? And I agree with him. Like
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder is going to beat, Shroud out in his T90 versus the T60
Yeah.
because you're just dealing with just things that can't even pin other things, right? Like that's where it gets
Yeah.
into like, if I can bring to bear a P47 and you can't, like, you're in deep shit real quick.
Yeah, I think planes, at least with, I don't know, I think they need to like
Fighters need to be
standardize a
buffed.
lot. Yeah, well, fighters need to be buffed. Fighters need things to do. Like, I've been trying to work on like a fighter only video where I'm just like flying around, and dude, the amount of games that
Boring.
I've tried to do, it's boring. Yeah, like I'm just flying in circles, and there's like one guy shows up and suicide bombs. Like, you get maybe one or two like dogfights a game. It's awful. I had to do a lone fighters game where in lone fighters it's great because everyone's constantly in the air, right?
Yeah.
Like
that-
that's, but yeah, like I think fighters just don't have a whole lot to do in the air.
Well, yeah,
And you've got a great point, like with the tanks. Like, yeah, I have a tiger and you're in a Stewart. What the fuck are you gonna do? Like,
nothing. You're gonna
die.
die.
Like, assuming I have half a brain, like I know that there's players out there like Beep who drive around in fucking Stewarts and kill tigers all the time, but like the reality of it is that just doesn't. The average player who installed the game yesterday isn't gonna kill someone in a tiger.
But then again, Beep. I mean, and Beep is literally limited to what levels he can do that on. Like, good luck doing that on D-Day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Okay, good luck. Like, I'll park it up on the hill. Like, where are you gonna go?
Yeah,
I can see you.
And I think that if they did, I think if they did, and this kind of goes into the progression system. I think that if they did a tech tree, and they do a tech tree, then that can be solved pretty easily because you can add in, things like the Wolverine, the M10 that don't make any sense in the current progression. Right, you don't unlock it till level like 35, like 75 hours into the campaign. It doesn't make any sense, right? Like,
No.
you don't need it at that level, right? You're gonna get the 76 Sherman, but if you make it to where it's a tech tree and you unlock that like second or something, right? This like shitty tank destroyer that isn't great, but hey, it does the fucking job, right? Or God forbid, God forbid you get the fucking half track, right, with the 76 or 75 on the back. Like the first tank destroyer that all got annihilated.
The 3-gun motor carriage.
Yeah, that garbage. Like if you get that, and and then you have like a tank destroyer line, like that could work pretty well. And then new players, like, yeah, you start with a Stewart, but you can unlock a tank destroyer that can fight anything at like level 3 or some shit, like after like
exactly
an hour, right? So maybe we see that with the progression, and maybe those kind of go hand in hand, with kind of balancing out the matchmaking.
Well, yeah, no, and that's the thing too, is I know a lot. I know a lot of people on the forum have looked at. I just don't know if they can't read or what, but they see like new type of aircraft weapons, right? And a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, like the ME-262's coming, the Meteor's coming, like jet aircraft are coming, late war." The maps aren't like the maps aren't big enough. Like, where the fuck are they going to fly? Those things are fast as shit comparatively. Like, where are they going to go?
Yeah, that's fair. And also, I mean, and they're saying they said new weapons, right? New type of aircraft weapons. To me, that is like DeWin said napalm.
No, I hope not.
I mean, the balance and whether or not that is something that should be added is separate, but I do think that napalm seems to me like the most likely answer. I don't know. Vault also mentioned, she asked a question that was like, didn't they use cluster munitions? So maybe there's like cluster bombs or something that could be dropped.
The Soviets had the Patab, which was a dispensed heat grenade from the IL-2 and the Yak.
Yeah, so maybe it's something like that.
But I mean, I don't know. I think that's a mistake. If you want my honest opinion, I think that's a mistake because Willie Pete right now in the Pacific, if you have a large grenade pouch, right, throw 3. They literally cannot take the point. You can cover the entire point.
I think we're going to see a nerf to Willie Pete, to be honest with you.
I mean, gotta hope so. But I mean, to me, new type of aircraft weapons, to me personally, is, hey, look, like, you're going to have the duck that's going to be added, like a tank buster that can just, dick down tanks with its gun. And I'm really hoping it's more going to look, like you can do some preset customization of your loadouts, like, your ammo belts and stuff like that.
They did say a long time ago they were going to do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, the bombers, right? They changed the bombers, the AI bombers ammo belts, right?
Yeah.
Now it's mostly, I forget, like AP or H, I can't remember. But I hope that's the case because, God, if you add, like, I know everyone wants the fucking Soviet PE-2 Hedgehog added to the fucking thing. That's an AC-130 from the air. Like, that'll be hell on earth.
Yeah.
Please, God, don't add that. Like, it just things like that. I think if you, like, airplanes have always been a problem with Enlisted. Like, they nerfed them because, you could spawn in them right away and then people would just bomb you with an A-20 and it was just not fun. Airplanes have always kind of been a sore thorn in the side of Enlisted. And I think if you keep buffing them, it's just like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, come on.
I still think they need to just go the route of like Battlefront 2 and World War 3 where it's just spawn points.
I agree. I
But yeah, I
agree.
think that if they did that, it would solve so many of the problems the game has. Because the things that make planes bad are the things that make tanks, or the things that make planes good, right? Like from a gameplay, like are the things that make tanks bad. Like the fact that
Mhm.
you can infinitely spawn both of them is a problem, but the fact that like there's a million tanks is a huge problem. But then planes are like the flip side where there's not that many, but they do insane amounts of damage. So like they're harder to kill, while tanks are easy to kill, but there's a million of them. Like it's weird. It's weird playing D-Day and there being like 6 tigers. Like
Yeah,
that's weird, and
exactly.
like that's like weird from a historical, but it just gets like it gets bogged down in gameplay too. Whenever it's just like, yeah, man, I killed 18 Stewarts. Like,
The beach is clogged with the
yeah, like what
dead
the
corpses
fuck?
of
Yeah,
Stuarts and Scots.
it's weird, and I think that if they did a spawn point system, they could really balance that out, and they would solve suicide bombing. You could make tanks actually scary. I mean, I know that people have complained about HE for tanks forever and how HE is really weird. I think it's weird on purpose. I think they know that if they made HE actually realistic, like Hell Let Loose or something, it would be god awful. The game would
Well,
be
yeah,
unplayable, right? Like
but
tanks would be unstoppable.
that comes to level design too.
Yeah,
I mean, hell it loose, I can go really far left. I can go really
yeah,
far right. Like you can't do that on D-Day Normandy. Like you're
yeah.
in a
True.
canyon, dog. Good luck.
Yeah, and it definitely it plays into that. And if they just did the spawn points, and it's just like, oh, tanks are actually scary now, and like killing them is a huge reward. Like now I kill a tank, and I'm like, cool.
Here comes the next one.
Here comes another one. Like whatever, man.
I mean, to me, I think they need to personally like do a huge, huge buff to AT. Like AT
Yeah.
weapons in general, I think just need a huge buff.
Yeah, it's always kind of weird. Like if you hit a tank with an like, I mean, I guess I don't know, but I feel like if a tank gets hit by a 6-pounder and it goes through and pins, it's gonna just kill most of the crew, and right, like, and if the crew isn't dead,
There's
hurt.
so many variables to that.
Yeah, I
It's
guess.
wild.
Yeah,
Right, but I don't.
from a
I
gameplay
think,
perspective, it should,
yeah, I don't think that you need. Uh, One, I don't think AT guns should have HE, but that's just a completely different thing, right? But like I don't understand. Like, yes, I don't think we should have the same War Thunder mechanics as far as how AT interacts like it does in War Thunder. Like, I get it. Like War
Yeah.
Thunder, you hit, like it sprawls. If it doesn't sprawl, like whatever, right? Like, I get that, but it's like, man, if I build an AT gun, one, if I'm an actual AT trooper, like in the Wehrmacht or something, and I'm like on the side of the road, and I see, an IS-2 come by, and I've got like a Pack 38, and I can't pin it. You know what I'm not doing? Shooting it.
Yeah.
Like this is like I'm gonna hide. Like
And
Pack guns
also,
were meant to hide.
yeah, and like they also have like weird dispersion. You guys
Yes.
notice that? Where it's just like you
True.
fire you're firing like 50 meters and your shell's like not going where you're aimed. Like how?
Yes.
Like
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Just so
I get
annoying
it.
to me.
But
But-
yeah, so let's go into the class. So we've talked about vehicles, kind of jumped around a little bit, but new class with unique mechanics. So I said this in my video that to me, right, mechanics are rules for your game, right? They are rules that fundamentally change how the game is played. And so this to me doesn't make sense as like an automatic rifleman class, right? Where it's like,
Correct.
okay, select fires. Like this to me seems like it could only be something that fundamentally changes the game, and that would be officer. Like some sort of officer class that buffs AI, changes how AI work, something like that. I
Mhm.
don't know what else it could be. Panda mentioned paratroopers as well, which I could see as a possibility, but the maps are just too small, right?
So I took it complete opposite actually in how I read that.
Okay.
So you got the 82nd Airborne, you got the 101st Airborne already in the game,
Right.
right? You've got all these units in these divisions that they're already added. I think that what they're, or at least what I'm hoping,
Oh.
is I foresee it being a shift where it's more like the premium squads. And I said this in my video too, is where it's like if you bring in the 101st airborne division. They're an airborne division. Like you have a beacon, you spawn there, like here you go. I thought that where it's like, okay, they all carry Thompsons, and then you have an engineer with a Thompson. Like you can't really like customize it the way you want the
Huh.
squads. And I don't know if that's the right play for them. It's more of, I don't know. I think it would be interesting to see where you are rewarded or punished based off of what lineup you bring in, right? Like, so if you bring in, the 24th Rifle Division and it's a rifleman's company and you've got M1 Garens or Springfields, whatever the hell you've unlocked, right? And this kind of goes into your tech tree kind of thing, right? If that's what you've brought in, you've got more guys, but you have like less firepower or like less special ability.
So I wish they would do that, right? I actually think that would have been the better way to make Enlisted. I think that Enlisted would have been a much cooler game if they, instead of, like, I know people out there really enjoy like being able to unlock the guns and customize your squads and give each gun to each individual soldier and do these perks and all this shit. And that is cool. I fully admit that. I think most players don't give a shit about that. I think most players are ignoring that part of the game. I think that it creates a massive skill difference between players, between someone who's using Vitality and someone who isn't. And I think that at the end of the day, the game would have been better if it would have been built from the beginning to be exactly what you're saying, where it's like, if you bring squad X, it has strengths, A and B, and then has weaknesses C. And if you bring squad Y, then it has, strengths C and weaknesses A, B, like you were saying. Like, big squad, low firepower. Small squad, high firepower, right? Engineers can build stuff, but they have, like, carbines or something. Like, all those different things that you could have done. And that would have like really given you a lot of interesting decisions for how you customize your squads and which squads you bring. And I think that would have been awesome. I just don't think they're going to do it. I think that would require such a massive overhaul of the game. And like all of the people who have spent money on buying guns and gold on buying guns and re-rolling perks and all that shit, I don't know how they could possibly do that.
Yeah,
maybe not.
That'd be hard to figure
insane.
out how to do that.
And again, I think that version of the game and that vision of the game is genuinely better. Right.
So I put down for new classes, like, because I saw new classes with unique mechanics, right? So I put it down, and I thought it in the thought process that I said. I had paratroopers down.
Right.
I had commandos / partisans, where they could go into. Yeah, they could go into the gray zone like for a longer period of time.
Oh, okay.
Maybe had like access to suppressed weapons or something, kind of like what we saw with like the MP40 and the Sten guys.
Yeah, or they have like pre-built rally points or something that like only that squad can spawn on in the back, right?
Yeah,
so they're like already infiltrated type deal. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and then you can, I was kind of thinking, and this will tie into later, like how do you add France, the French resistance, the Polish resistance.
Smart.
You could add a lot of stuff to it. Forward observer, to call in more accurate, artillery fire. I was like, oh god, I was like, I hope they don't add that one.
I don't see that one, but it's kind of interesting.
And then obviously, what everyone talks about, like, squad leaders or officers, but officers doesn't make sense to me in that thought, in what I'm thinking of it as. Because like officers don't run around in groups of 10, right?
True.
So if you keep the old system, it makes sense. Like you can put an officer in your squad.
Right. Yeah. I would say it'd just be like, so if I were to do it and I were to add an officer class, I would probably add like, so you have to have a base squad, right? Because that's how all the other factions and stuff work. So you'd have to add it where it's like, command squad, and they're just like, it's like all officers or something, and it's like a 3-man squad or some shit. I'm not really sure how they would do that, because like that also doesn't make any goddamn sense. Like, in what world are like they took like 3 squad leaders, like 3 NCOs, and threw them into one squad together and told them to get out there, right? Like,
gotta do it, man. Plug the line.
Yeah. Plug the line, bros. Like, okay.
It's like the Co 1 Knights Crossholders. Where did all these guys come from?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like, what the fuck? But I don't know. You kind of have to have that base squad, so I would assume they would do like a small squad for that, and then you would And yeah, you would just throw one in every squad. Like every squad just automatically gets one or something like that. They could do it that way where there isn't a base squad and then every squad just automatically has a class.
Gets like a squad
officer.
leader slot or something like
Yeah,
that.
they get like the quote unquote officer class. And I think that would be cool because like I've always talked about officers as being like a really interesting thing. Like I did a video on that in like fucking late 2021 because it's like in my mind AI is the important part of Enlisted. Like the AI is what separates Enlisted from
any other first-person shooter.
Like if you take the AI, like I played Lone Fighters again for the when I was doing that video, and I genuinely was just like, why would you play this game? Like I get it, it's free to play and it's kind of this like realistic shooter, but I just don't see why you wouldn't just play Battlefield 5 or Hell Let Loose or like a million other games that exist out there within that context. Like it just doesn't make sense to me, right? And so I think that having an officer class that actually interacts with the AI, it just seems like such a natural stepping stone to me, right?
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, I think that they could. Yeah, they'd buff reload speed of your AI. They'd buff accuracy.
Hopefully
maybe slightly.
Pathfinding.
Yeah. They could buff move speed. I would do it where instead of it being a passive thing, because Vala does mention this. He was one of the biggest critics of my original video. Is he said that he doesn't want it to be a situation where you can just like put your guys down the building and then go prone in a corner and then they just shoot everybody for you. Because that is not very interactive as a player, right? Like that's very lame. So I would do it where how right now your AI react to your marks. I would do it where there's a small like 5-second cooldown after you mark, and it would be like your AI will be very accurate towards enemies in that mark area.
Right.
So then it's kind of like you're like, and I feel like that fulfills like that kind of fantasy of being a squad leader where you're like, hey, they're over there, shoot them. Like,
yeah, it's kind of like Full Spectrum Warrior, if you remember that game, where you like put the circle
I
up.
remember that game, yeah.
I think that would be pretty neat.
Just even telling your soldiers to like throw grenades someplace or something like that would be cool.
Yeah, exactly. Just like toss grenades forward, and then it's like all you do is pull out grenades, like that scene in Band of Brothers, right? Like,
and then your AI blows themselves up as they run over the grenades.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can tell them to throw explosive packs at tanks, and they will always fail. But yeah.
I mean, so we all agree cool. Squad leader. We all agree squad leader is like the most. Like,
I think that's the most
likely.
Yeah. The other thing that we didn't mention was half tracks. That's something that's been mentioned a lot, and is possible.
I think that kind of goes more into like new types of ground vehicles with unique mechanics. I feel like that's kind of. I mean, we can go into it. I feel like half tracks, SPA.
But for real though, like that's a pro dev move if they put new class and new type of ground vehicle and they're just the same thing. Like they like filled out the roadmap. Like they're like, yeah, we have a new class and new vehicles. It's just a half track squad.
Get fucked, kids.
Get fucked, idiots.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like God.
One of these things are absolutely
that's
the
galaxy
same.
Brain, dude. That is a producer mindset right there. Like 2 for 1.
Corporate wants to know the difference between these two photos.
Yeah, it's the same. That's smart. that's a good producer right there. You make 2 tasks and it's only 1 task. But yeah, I think half tracks, mobile spawn points seems straightforward.
Yeah, the levels just gotta get bigger.
They gotta be bigger. The map's gotta be bigger, man.
It gotta be bigger, dog. I feel like the half track squad, while it's a cool idea, and I've been a big wanter for half track squads as mobile spawn points. I've been like, oh, this is great. You can't AP mine them. You can't do that kind of shit. Like that'd be great. Like they're just gonna get dicked down. They're just gonna get dicked down on the levels that we already have right now.
Especially if they also take up a vehicle slot on the map too.
Oh yeah, there's I think they'd be like riders.
Yeah, they would have to be. Otherwise, that would be terrible. Your team has 1 tank now.
Yeah. What about do you think they'd have guns on them?
Probably.
Do you think they'd have like the MG on top?
Yeah, but like very like its cone of fire is very limited. I feel like.
Yeah.
Or at least I would hope.
They have grenade launchers. the fucking half or the Humvees. It's like a modern
Yeah.
Humvee.
Yeah, we got
logo.
Mark
Oh my goodness.
19s.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Jesus Christ.
New battlefield in Normandy. Now I asked Vault. She did confirm that these are like maps. This isn't like, hey, new battlefield, the Battle of the Bulge. So these are just maps. Which I think they're gonna have more maps. I don't know why they only put these 2 on here. I think that it's maybe these are like because they have like the larger maps that they break up into the maps that we get. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like if you go into the file editor, it's like you have the giant Moscow like outskirts, and then it's like 6 different maps within that. So I wonder if that's what they mean by battlefield. Like they're having like a big map, so we're gonna get like a big handful of maps. I don't know.
It's Con.
Yeah, Con makes sense.
Could be Caratan.
Could be
Carrington. That's a good point because they already have St. Lo in, so it would make sense.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know any other.
I just feel like it's got to be Con.
We
Yeah, we have St. Margulies.
Do we?
St. Margulies is what's that level? It's the same church in there. Fuck.
Ruins of Vaux?
No, that's Vilsamur.
Because I always get it mixed up because I know that Hell at Loose has Saint Mare, but does Enlisted have Saint Mare?
One of them is St. Margulies. I've literally looked through the whole
That's right.
Found
you did do a video on it.
every map, and it's like one of them is St. Margulies or supposed to be St. Margulies.
It's like the equivalent.
Yeah, but it's like
is it that
really
beach?
badly done.
Is it like that beach map where you like come off the beach?
Yeah, I think so. I have to look back through my notes, but I really think it's Con. Libri, yeah, whatever that is. I really think it's Con. Just the airfield is in Con. We have the British in Con. Like it justifies a Tiger being in Normandy. You can add the Sherman Firefly if you really wanted to, or a Cromwell. Yeah, I mean, you give the regular. You can justify it though, right? Like, why the hell are the Americans using a Sherman Firefly? Like, it's like you can figure it out, right? Like, okay, here it is.
The crew is British, but
the crew is British. Okay, there you go. So, I mean, I think it's Con.
No, but that makes sense for sure. I didn't think about it that way. It does justify a lot of things.
Yep.
Don't you know about the famous Sherman Firefly that was at fucking
Omaha?
They landed at the wrong place. They just
wild historical fact: the army actually did use a bunch of Fireflies in Italy.
That makes sense.
There was one company from I forget what armor division it was. They actually got lent British Fireflies.
British.
That sounds perfect.
Carrington maybe, but I think you're right. Con makes the most sense.
If it is Con,
it also opens up having more British vehicles, which is an easy source of.
Plus, it'll be a good map too.
Yeah.
That would be a really good map if they do it right, because it'll be really urban fighting and stuff like that.
And they have the hill that overlooks the town too.
Yeah, exactly. You can get all kinds of stuff out of that. Like I feel like you can get 3 or 4 maps just out of that one map. Honestly.
All right. Major UI. So I don't know. This was a weird one for me. I kind of have to like reflect on Enlisted's UI because I've been playing the game for 2 years, like you guys have. So it's like I feel like the UI is very intuitive to me, but I could totally see how like they're like we should rework this.
Oh, it's trash.
Yeah. I feel like the in battle UI isn't that bad, right? I mean, maybe some like tweaks and stuff, but yeah, I mean the out of game UI, like the out of the menus UI.
I mean, at least they got rid of one of the biggest offenders over a year ago, which was the Academy.
Yeah.
So all right, so for the Academy, the Academy was trash, right? We all agree the Academy was just like almost predatorial at this point. Like,
yeah. I like
the one thing though. The one thing I really wish they brought back though is I kind of like the mystery box kind of thing, like here you go, like you bet you get whatever. Like, I thought that was kind of a cool little thing they could have in there for the logistics side. But to me, I took major UI upgrade to be like, look, dog, you can send massive amounts of soldiers to the rear and it organizes your troops better. Yeah. It's just like, God, the troop management is just hell on earth
A lot of people are saying that they think it's the major UI upgrade. Just seems like it's probably tied to progression and the other changes. I think
Makes
is
a lot of
fair.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like, it's like if you're reworking half the UI because the campaign stuff is changing, might as well rework the other half, right?
Yeah, I mean that's true. I just think that there's like things that they need to like rework. Like
Yeah.
one, when I'm like trying to pick what soldiers I put in, like it would be nice for me to see what their role points are inside the little scroll. So I'd be like, okay, this guy's obviously probably got vitality because he's got like 35 of the heart. You
Yeah.
know, he's probably got like I can just move him in perfect. Like I don't want to have to like click on each one, go over, click, look
It's
at all
a
the
lot
perks
of
he
time
has.
spent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, Doings. Yeah, I can see that. In battle, I'm just the only thing that I want in battle for the in-game UI. I mean, if I take a look at it, maybe there's some stuff, but what I want is to have little magazines that show like your
How many
ammo.
rounds you got?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you played squad. You guys have played squad like that. Exactly like squad. Where it's just kind of like, yeah, man, like you got, like half your ammo's left in your mag.
Do you think they should? One thing I would like to see, but I don't know what your thoughts are. I really like for them to me to be able to like repack my mags,
I
like
mean, just
so
on
I
the
could have.
fly.
Condense your magazines down to
Yeah,
like half empty mags
that'd be-
into one
that-
full mag.
I think
God,
that'd
it
be
drives me
fine.
nuts.
I don't know if that's like a thing that matters,
Oh God, it drives me nuts.
but it's also probably a really easy thing to implement because they already have the code for the ammo boxes to repack your mags. So you might as well you could just add a thing that like, okay, you have the medkit UI, right?
Yeah.
So you just add that basically, and it takes like 10 seconds, and then it repacks all your mags.
Yeah, that would be.
I think that would be
so much,
probably
so
fine.
much nicer.
I wouldn't mind that at all. I don't think it's something that it's like, it would be a nice making Enlisted a better place. That's what it would be. It'd be great for that.
Yeah, it's a pretty weak roadmap point.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's cool. It's like a nice thing. It's one of those things where I'm not gonna be mad about it. Like I'd be like, okay, I can see how someone might want this.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
That's a good one. Yes.
Artillery UI.
Oh, like where it's color coordinated,
red versus
it's
blue,
friendly. Yeah, that's good.
That's a great point.
Yeah, that's
Very good point.
I didn't think about that.
Okay, new progression system. So this is a big one. We basically touched on this a lot. But what is it? They did say it is a complete rework. So that means that I imagine that means that there's not going to be a linear system, at least in the way that we have it now. If it is a complete rework, by the way, someone did ask Vault, and I would also say that I would agree with this. You're not gonna lose anything. Nobody's getting reset. Everything you have right now, you're gonna have after this rework.
Oh yeah, if they reworked it and reset everyone, there'd be riots.
Yeah, no, there's zero
People
chance.
spend a lot of money on that stuff.
Yeah, just so everybody that watches this and is in chat right now, like you're not losing anything. Like if anything, you're gonna gain shit. All right, so don't.
Yeah.
Nobody worry about that. But yeah, so what systems can they do? I mean, a tech tree is pretty obvious. I've made a tech tree for Normandy. I think it works pretty well. I think it's a great system that can be done really well, but I think there are flaws with it.
Yeah.
I
think it's about
it's a total reset. You get all of your unlocks from War Thunder. They just combine the games.
Oh my goodness.
Christ. Fucking. All right, here I come in my F-14. Let's go.
Oh my god, that'd be so funny.
I think it's got to be based off of armies, right?
Yeah,
like I feel like it's got to be based off like armies. Like the Germans obviously are gonna have to be split up. The Russians will obviously have to be split up. That's kind of always what I thought was gonna save Enlisted. Is you just like, look, you're playing the Americans. Like here you go. Like it's a tech. You go through it. The Americans, wherever the Americans play, you're good.
Yeah, they said they didn't. So they specifically said that they're going to solve the issues that have arisen to the leveling and dividing of enlisted players between the campaigns. So you think that that's going to be a part of the progression? Because they didn't specifically tie those together, but I could see how that could be tied together, right? Like it's just armies. and instead of queuing Normandy, you just queue as America, and you could be
Yeah.
in Tunisia, you could be in.
I think that's just like, I feel like they put just too much time into the each campaigns for them to just like overtly abandon them to a degree. You get what
Oh
I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Like I can't imagine if they just like were like, all right, we're getting rid of Tunisia
Man.
and fucking all this. Like, here
Oh,
you
they're not.
go.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna remove. But
So
it's tough for that because then it's like if I have right, so if we get a bunch of American campaigns, right? So if they do that and they add like the Battle of the Bulge and we have like the Pershing, then if I queue as America, could I get Tunisia and I'm rolling around in a Pershing in Tunisia? I mean, how does that?
no, I think you do it like Hell Let Loose does a little bit, right? Like you're level X of a support, right? Your level X support. And you go, okay, like whatever. I'm level X. So it doesn't matter like what side of the allies you play, you're going to have the unlocks for that level set, right? So if you're playing the Americans and your max
Oh,
level, you'll have whatever unlocks are max
okay,
level in Tunisia, max level in Normandy, Battle of the Bulge, Jiminy Cricket,
okay,
everything like
gotcha.
that. Yeah.
So then, okay, but then okay, that makes sense. But then do you think that they would how do they address like the split campaigns? Because in that situation, you still have split campaigns.
Right, but I
It's
think you
just
can
not
only
as bad.
queue. You can only queue as like the Americans. You can only queue as
Oh,
the
I get it.
German
I get it.
Wehrmacht or the
Okay.
German OKW. Like that's how
Okay,
you do it.
so each campaign. So you're saying so like if I wanted to queue as Germany, right? So I could go to Berlin and Normandy, Tunisia, all the different campaigns, and I set my squads up in those campaigns, and then I queue as Germany, and it will throw me into any German match in any
Yeah,
campaign, and then it just copy pastes my squads from that campaign into it.
basically speaking. I think like the
Okay,
Germans and
I
the
can see that.
Soviets are a little rough though. Like for the Germans, you're gonna have to break them up into two factions at
Yeah,
least,
you do
East
East
and
and
West.
West. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do anything else. Like it's just how
It'd be
the
too
cookie
big.
crumbles.
It'd be too big.
The
Yeah.
equipment disparity between the two is
Yeah.
Which
large.
That's not
you're gonna have
bad.
to
No, I think that's good.
you'll have to do the same for the Soviets though too. Is the difference because 1945 Soviet Russia and 1940 Soviet Russia are two different bears there,
But
right? Like you'll
wouldn't it effectively be the same thing though? Because it's like I basically you're saying you keep the same campaign system that we have now. It's just all of your campaigns for that faction level up at the same time, and then you
yes,
set your squads, and then when you queue, it just throws you into a game.
right. The only reason why I would think you would have to break the Soviets up into a degree is because they kind of get OP a little bit, as it would say, because like okay, if I can play from Berlin all the way to Moscow, all the way, from Leningrad, Stalingrad, like you can cover more ground with the Soviets, I feel like, than anything else
That's
because
fair.
they cover the most ground. Like
Yeah,
it's just
I
how
get
that
that.
works. So I think you have to break up like the Soviets to some like either it's like early war Soviets, late war Soviets, right? Because I don't think like somebody that's doing early war Soviets should be placed in Berlin. You get what I'm saying? Because it's like
Yeah.
he's not even gonna have fucking access to anything that's gonna be able to like do anything. Like,
Wait, but you would though because sorry, the way that I understood it was that you were saying so like if IQ is the Soviets, it just levels up all of my Soviets. So if like level 2 unlock is the PPSH in Berlin, but the level 2 unlock is a Mosin in Moscow.
right? No, I think they should be. Sorry, I'm not doing a really good job explaining this. So like, yes, like I think that like if you queue as the Soviets, you level up as the Soviets, right?
And it levels
My
every campaign, right?
and it revels every campaign. The only reason why I said you might have to split the Soviets into two of them, into two different factions, is you are splitting the Germans up into two different factions.
Okay, fair.
So like if you don't split the Soviets, they're going to have an unreal advantage. It's like more people are going to play the Soviets, right? Because you're going to be able to cover more
so you're going to
ground.
generally have higher levels for the
Yeah,
Soviets, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you're gonna have to like cover more unless you add the Italians somehow as their own faction right?
Yeah, I got you there. That
And
makes
you don't
sense.
split the Germans, but then the Italians are kind of like, fucked because it's like they're
It
kind of
is.
limited on where they go.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It lets you add more factions too. That
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
always
like,
supporting of.
or yeah, you do it as like the Italians, the Romanians, the Hungarians, and like the Czechs, and you say, or the Estonians, I don't care. You throw out
Whoever it
any little
is.
minor axis, right? And you just call them like,
Mongolians.
yeah, you call them like axis minors,
Yeah.
and like you can
You
just
can do like
progress as that.
Yeah, you could do like a 15 level campaign instead of like 40.
Yeah, or you could even do 40 if you can like
If
fill
they
it
could fill it,
somehow.
yeah, right, of course.
Yeah, and then like they can play from Tunisia to Stalingrad because whatever,
Okay.
right? But
Yeah,
I think
I can
that's
see how
kind of the
that
play.
runs. Yeah, that could be good. I think that would be a good idea. And you could still even do tech tree along with that. There's nothing,
Yeah, no, that's
right?
exactly what you do. You just do a tech
Um,
tree along with it.
yeah, I think that solves it pretty.
Condenses the player base. It makes the
The
grind.
only thing I would say is, do you think you'd allow people to choose which campaign to queue?
No, I think you just make it Axis allies.
So you wouldn't
Americans.
allow like checkboxes to be like, I want to queue Berlin, Moscow, Stalingrad, but not
I don't know. I
as
think if
the
you get into that,
Germans or something.
I feel like if you get into that, you're still getting into like
It does split it for sure.
it's still it kills still splits.
But I
Like if you
wonder,
want to split,
you might run into the problem where people are like, I really want to play Berlin, and then it's like they
then
never
play
hit Berlin
customs.
games. Yeah, you could play
Play custom.
customs. That's
Just play
fair.
custom. Like that
That's
goes
fair.
back to the major UI. Like make it where they can find customs better and make it where you set up the year and the location. There you go. Play customs.
That's fair.
You don't get to pick. Well, I guess you technically get to pick and hell it loose, but
That is, yeah. Yeah, the only thing I think that if they did a thing that was like it defaults to queue as everything, but you can choose to like limit it and maybe you get less XP or something. Or maybe you can add more and it gives you more XP or something like that.
or it makes it where it's like you can only get like you can only check one, or like you can only like
You can only get rid of one.
get
I'd
rid
be
of
okay
one.
with
Like,
that. Like you
yeah,
veto
like,
one campaign.
yeah. So then you've kind of got like a
Okay.
somewhat of choice.
Yeah. I like that. I think that would be good. Yeah, kind of like map banning. Yeah, and it keeps the economy system that we have now in the exact same way.
Sure does.
Yeah.
I think that's just the simplest solution for them. Like I know they're doing a complete rehaul, but I feel like you still have to like work within some parameters, especially if
Yeah,
this
of
is
course.
if this is queues, which I know everyone we've kind of debated on whether or not these are quarters or not. If this is Q2, that is in 2 months that
Yeah.
Q2 comes out. Like,
Yeah. Well, I think they've been working on it for a while. The progression rework.
yeah, I'm still waiting for me to be able to like, brace my MG. So that's been worked on for 3 years now, dog.
I'm waiting for the AI to stop walking in front of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, we'll hear soon. They said the dev blog. KO Fox said in a forum post, dev blog coming soon, and I believe he said hopefully at the end of this week. I can't find the exact form where he said that. He definitely said soon. Trying to find it. I can't find it. But he did say, oh wait. Here is the purpose of the roadmap is to tell you about our goals, not to reveal every step. Something from this list may not even be ready yet, and it's under discussion. We do plan to add it. Oh, here he said. Someone said to his to the post, for the love of God, stop adding campaigns when you already have 6. Half the time you pick a campaign at random. Out of the 20 players in there, maybe 5 know how to play. KO Fox said, wait for the next diary. I think we'll release it by the end of this week. Then you will find out that new campaigns will appear in our game in a completely different way and not the way you're used to. Oh.
Yeah. I
Wait.
mean, that's
Does that mean that the old campaigns are going to stay how we have now?
See, I don't know. That's been my big
weird the wording there, yeah.
Yeah, because and he capitalized new campaigns.
Well, I mean, even in the roadmap, it says new campaign in a new format, though. That's the new format's the big.
Okay, so we think that the current campaigns are going to stay exactly how they are. they're going to rework something to let us queue a bunch of different campaigns and like stop the player split, and then the new campaigns are gonna have different progression.
No, I think the
know. That
progression
seems weird.
I feel like new campaign is just like, hey, look, we're opening up a new area of the front, right? Like there's really no difference between the fucking Normandy campaign and the Battle of the Bulge. You're not even talking a massive amount of time here, right? But like people want to play the Battle of the Bulge.
They went from one to the other. When Normandy ended, Bulge began essentially. Like
it's like you're dealing with people wanting to play these iconic World War II battles or these campaigns and stuff like that. But like you can't add Leningrad and have Stalingrad. They're literally the same, going on at the same fucking time. Like, but people want to play Leningrad. Like, I want to play Leningrad. All right. I want to play in Norway. I want to play in Norway. So I want the Brits to be up in Norway, and I want to fight some German dudes, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like,
I get that.
I think you just open that up, say, hey, look, we're launching a new campaign, and it's just a bunch of new maps. Like, here you go. It's a new campaign, bunch of new maps. Enjoy.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to see. It's the whole capitalize, you'll find out that new campaigns will be a different way, not the way you're used to. That's the weirdest thing for me.
That is true.
Because he put all caps new campaigns. But then the roadmap says complete rework of progression. So I don't know.
The dev blog will tell all.
Yeah, the dev blog. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm just like,
well, yeah, but if you're going to have a new progression system and you're going to address the player base splitting, you can't keep the same campaign system and add 4 new campaigns.
Yeah, no, you're right, for sure.
It's like literally impossible.
Yeah,
it just doesn't work.
All right. All right. Progression. New Pacific Battlefield. Anyone got any guesses?
Okinawa.
I feel like they're gonna go.
Iwo Jima.
Yeah, Iwo makes sense. So the only thing is, right now we have all early war stuff. Do we think that we're gonna get like, are they gonna go to like kind of mid-war type deal?
Yeah, I mean it could be like Tarawa or Saipan.
Yeah, but are those are those recognizable enough within the community, you think? I mean, I know it is with us.
Saipan, maybe. I mean, obviously people want Iwo, but Iwo is like, what, 2 years later?
I mean, yeah, you're talking late war
Hiroshima.
For Iwo.
I mean, Iwo's around like this time of the year, too.
Could be Wake.
Wake would make sense, actually.
Could be Wake.
They could even do, I wonder if they'll do a Midway. And do like the ground battle on Midway. What if they do Midway and they add torpedoes? Saying.
I will cry myself to sleep.
No. I mean, it could also be something like Papua New Guinea or something like that too.
Yeah. New aircraft weapon types, torpedoos. God damn it!
What are those fucking the magnetic mines that War Thunder has? Those things.
The sea mines,
yeah, great. I love it.
That are like way bigger too. All right.
Wake or Iwo is my guess.
I would say Wake makes sense to me.
I mean, to answer your chat, like,
do we have Guadal?
I mean, technically speaking, I feel like the levels are supposed to be Guadalcanal. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jason.
It's everywhere around the actual Guadalcanal, though.
Yeah, it's like I feel like it is Guadalcanal.
It's like Penrue, like the Alligator River, and then the opposite side of Henderson Field.
Yeah, it's like I feel like we are in Guadal already.
Maybe they'll do an actual like map called Guadalcanal.
Oh God.
I don't know. Fair enough. We talked about aircraft weapons. I mean, napalm, whatever it's gonna be. Jets would be cool.
Torpedoes now.
Torpedoes.
Torpedoes.
I'm telling you. Imagine being in a plane, or imagine being in a tank and you just get killed by a fucking torpedo. Some jackass drops a torpedo on your head.
That'd be great.
All right. So open beta is over. The release of Enlisted. I hate this.
Same.
And like this doesn't matter, right?
The
But
game's
like,
already released.
yeah, like semantically speaking, this pisses me off because like I always see this shit. Like there was a forum post today where people are like, "I don't think the game's ready to be released." I was like, "Dude, this game released like 2 years ago. Like they can slap 1.0 on it all they want, and I support that. And if they get some new eyes on the game or people coming back because it's officially released, then that's fine, and I think that's great. But like,
it is a pat on the back.
yeah, like people are like people. I want to make sure people understand that nothing is going to change. Like them saying the game is 1.0 released means fucking nothing. Like it actually does not matter, right? Like the game isn't going to suddenly be developed in a different way, right? Like the game is going to continue existing in the exact state that it exists right now. Like it's just going to be version 1.0 and then 1.1 and then 1.2 and whatever. Like
Well, you're a dev. I mean, in all reality, and I don't know this answer. How many games in OBT are collecting money for in-game purchases? Is that common?
I mean, like today a lot, right? Because like that's the thing. Is like it's a very like today it's very common because the reality is that like
OBT doesn't exist.
Yeah, because what people call open beta today is not actually open beta. Like there are games out there
at this point.
Exactly. Like a lot of games out there, like this whole beta thing is a relic of old development. Like a beta is basically like it's what the technical test was for Company of Heroes 3. Like that was a beta, right? Like that's
right.
The game is basically done. They're just polishing, right? They're trying to find bugs. They're trying to find like balance, right? Those things. Like they're trying to figure out the gist of the game and stuff like that. But like the core mechanics of the game is done. And so what devs have done and what they realize is that they can release the game early. They can call it a beta. People will excuse all of the bugs and the bullshit, which devs used to do, and they use it well. Some still do. But some devs have realized that if they just release it and call it a beta, then people will excuse a bunch of their bullshit. They can sell the game for things. And a lot of times people release it as a beta because they need money. Like Enlisted needed money, and I'm fine with that. Like I understand you need money to run the business. That's fine. I don't care that you're in a beta and you're charging money for stuff because in my eyes you're not in beta. Right? You are a live service game. This game is being actively developed. Like it's like War Thunder was a beta up until like 2016. But like no it wasn't. Like nothing changed between the day before War Thunder's official release and the day after War Thunder's official release. Like it wasn't like anybody at Gaijin was like, okay, we're gonna change our development practices. Like, no, it's the exact same thing. Right?
Agreed.
Like it's so to me, they're saying it's officially released, and I get that, right? Like 1.0 is a big deal, and that's fine, but like it's already been released. Like, and also for most players, it's already been released. Like people who played this game in April 2021 and didn't like it, most of those players are not going to come back because you put the game at 1.0. You get one chance. You get one release. Don't fuck it up. Look at World War III.
Oh boy.
But they released it 3 times, dog.
Yeah. So, launch on blank.
The Texas Instruments 84 graphing calculator.
Ooh. I wonder if it could. It's on my smart fridge. It's releasing on smart fridges everywhere.
I feel like it's Steam. I feel like
Steam
it's
or
Steam.
Epic.
I can't believe they would go to Epic. It just doesn't really.
I actually think Epic's the smarter move.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. I just feel like with Gaijin being the publisher and being able to kind of tout their dick around with Steam a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like just on a business standpoint, it makes like where they'll just go with Steam.
So if I were to put money down, I would say Steam. Absolutely. But I think that the smart move is Epic.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, because Epic, you get better cut. It's a softer launch. And
Epic will help you.
Epic will help you. Epic will pay you. And then you can just launch on Steam a year later after you've tested the waters, and it'll give you a good idea of how many players are going to be playing. You can build your servers up a little bit easier. Steam is going to be a big spike in servers, and again, like I said, you get to launch once, and they've already launched. And if they launch again,
Yeah, it could just be exclusivity on Epic for a year, and then it comes to Steam.
Exactly, right? And then no harm, no foul. And if it, you know,
Right.
like worst case scenario is it flops on Epic and nobody gives a fuck because it's Epic, you know? Like most of the player base of Enlisted is really not going to be using Epic, so you're going to get a pretty marginal increase in players, and then you just go to Steam, right?
Nah, you guys are all wrong.
Knowing Darkflow, it's going to be Uplay of all things.
Could be
It's nah, it's Gaijin streaming service.
Gaijin streaming, yeah.
They're gonna start their own, the G stream. That's what they're gonna call it.
The G stream. But, yeah, whenever I saw this, I initially
my
thought,
goodness,
I thought,
my man.
When I first saw it, I was like, launch on Switch? And I was like, that's stupid. I was like, oh, Steam, duh.
Oh god. That's
Um,
great.
I mean, that would also be interesting for Steam because it would be playable on a Steam Deck.
yeah,
Ooh,
Origin launch.
God, please no.
But yeah, I think Steam. I mean, it's Steam or Epic. I don't really know what else it would be. They're on
Yeah,
every other major platform. They're on Xbox, Sony, whatever.
They're gonna send out CDs. I don't know.
Oh,
That'll be
please
interesting.
insert disc 2 of Enlisted.
Exactly. Go back to 1995.
Mom, where's my disc 3?
God.
Mom, I gotta finish the Jill campaign. God damn it.
Each campaign's on its separate disc.
Yeah. All right, new campaign. So we already kind of talked about the format. I don't know what the fuck that's gonna look like. I don't even know what to even start for the format. So maybe we just brainstorm campaigns.
Invasion of Panama.
Let me ask you this. All right.
Sure.
When it says new campaign in a new format, and it says it twice, right? We're gonna call it, Q3, Q4,
Right.
or row 3, row 4. My question is, and I was thinking about this when I was looking at it, right? The fact they say new makes me think this might not be the case, but what if they're just doing it like, hey, look, like they've done before, we're launching X campaign if they keep the old system, which God, please don't keep the old system. And it's in CBT, and then, a couple months later, it's in OBT, and they just put it twice on the roadmap.
Like they did it with half tracks.
Yeah,
I think that's actually. I think it's more likely they did that with half tracks than they did with a new campaign. I think they are saying there will be 2 new campaigns. We've gotten 2 new campaigns every year.
That's true.
So I think it makes sense for 2 new campaigns. And it also seems like they are going to be doing, based on KO Fox and what he's saying, it kind of seems like we're going to get a new campaign along with the new progression.
Okay.
Because he said that we're going to be getting news on the new progression, and he said that new campaigns are going to have new progression, which makes me feel like we're going to be getting a new campaign with new progression in the next update.
That'd be crazy.
It would be crazy. I think so. The 2 campaigns we've always been saying, or at least have been in my head, are 1940 France, Fall of France, and the old like Battle of the White Sea, I think is what it's called, or some shit. I don't remember. It's a Finnish campaign. It's the Continuation War.
Oh, the Winter War?
No, Continuation War. Like
after
the invasion.
Like where they were fighting up by Murmansk and stuff like that.
Yeah. Because that's where there's some C up there. Maybe it starts with a K. Can't remember. You guys might be able to look it up. But there was an old campaign file that was found. This was in like November of 21.
Yeah, it's up by Murmansk. It was like Operation like Arctic Wind or something, or Arctic Fox or something.
So we might get some Finnish shit. I think 1940 France is pretty much guaranteed. I don't know if that's the next one, but I think of these 2, 1940 France makes sense, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, I think it's either France or Italy. I think you're either like, and I'm just judging by the background of this because you know how Gaijin and Darkflow, they like to leak stuff inside photos.
True.
And everything like that. Like just looking at the architecture in the background, like, I mean, that looks like France or that looks like Italy to me. Just judging by the buildings.
That's fair. That's actually, but there's a Maxim.
Is that a Maxim? That could be a 1917 too.
I think it's a Maxim because wasn't the previous news thing that they released, wasn't it a Maxim?
I don't know. I don't know if
Oh
they
no, I
said.
guess you can't see it. Well, no, but this looks like a Soviet soldier.
Where are you looking at here?
In
Sorry.
the last thing. Hold on.
The roadmap thing.
Yeah, where the important news. Can I?
Yeah, it could be. It could be. I mean, the helmet. I mean, the helmet looks Italian to me too, though. Like that does look like an Italian helmet too.
Let me save this and put it up.
Where is this?
It's the one where they were like teasing the.
Oh yeah.
Like to me, that looks like an Italian helmet from the rear.
Really? This looks to me like a Soviet. I mean, it could be an Italian helmet, but the uniform looks Soviet. Like he's got like the red
arm. Does he have a red on?
His red like arm or on his shoulders.
Is that red or is it brown? It looks just like brown leather to me, but I'm kind of colorblind. So.
Well, he's got like a brown strap, and then he's got like red.
On it.
Like
shoulder, yeah.
Shoulder
well,
straps.
That could be the.
By the way, I don't mind the new artist. By the way, but goddamn, this dude, his hands are so weird. Look at this fucker's knuckles.
Yeah, he's got some.
Look at
big
that
old knuckles.
shit. This dude looks like he's got like, fucking like, bumps like in his knuckles. Looks so weird. Hands are really hard to draw. I don't blame him. Like I'm a terrible artist, but it's just pointing out.
That could be the like the Venetian lapels too, though. They wore red on theirs for the Italians. I mean, granted, now I'm kind of grasping for straws and saying that it's Italian.
Think that's fair though.
Like, but I just feel like I wanted the Winter War a long time ago. Like, I thought the Winter War would be really cool, right? Man, if you give me another one where I have like the Soviets, like you're adding more and more Soviets,
like more
Soviet.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ! Can I play something not on the Eastern Front?
I do agree with you that the background looks more Italian than it does
Finnish or yeah, like
an 815. Someone said, "Isn't that an 815?" What is? I don't know what an 8. It's an
machine gun.
MG08. It's basically. Where was it used in World War II though? It looks to me like a Maxim, but I'm not a gun nut, so I don't fucking know. That's.
Like it could be. It could be a Maxim. It's definitely not a Vickers. Everybody that says it's a Vickers is out of their fucking mind.
No, Vickers have a fluted barrel. They have like the grooves cut into it.
Exactly. Like it's not a fucking Vickers. Like, stop saying that. As soon as I say that, it's going to come out as a Vickers too. I'll kill myself.
It's a Crusader.
I mean, yeah, it's a Crusader.
Well, hey, it's Matilda. It's Matilda.
It's Matilda.
It's Matilda.
They showed up. Okay, fuck you guys. It could be an MG08, but if it's an MG08, that is more of saying it's Italian because that's a German World War I, water cooled MG. Like the fucking Italians are gonna have that, right? Like,
and it's also still all assuming that they're even doing like they are leaking stuff in this.
I mean, I feel like they are. I feel like they really are.
I mean,
because they've done it before.
Could even be Polish. Polish have similar style helmets to that, and they used water-cooled machine guns.
Yeah, it could be Polish.
What if it is Poland?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good point.
Big brain.
Yeah, because that could be like Warsaw or something.
Yeah,
would explain the red,
Polish. Yeah. The WZ-31 helmet looks very much like that if you look at pictures of it.
Holy shit! It's a 3-way campaign: Poland versus Axis versus Soviets.
That would be dope, actually. Not gonna lie. I feel like if they add anything that has the Soviets in it, people are gonna be pissed because it's just like, Jesus, Mary, Mother of Christ Almighty. Like, how many Soviets shit can we have?
Campaigns.
Now, if it's just if they're just saying campaigns or maps, if there's like in typical format of Darkflow, whereas like campaigns just mean like a map bundle and they really work the progression system like we said it is, I would be fine if they're like, man, it's Leningrad. I'd be like, all right, well, fuck it. I don't care. Like, it's the same progression. Like, I don't care. I just got better maps. Great.
Yeah.
It's just,
It's Stalingrad 2.
God. Yeah, you're the Germans and you're surrounded.
It's just Stalingrad 2. Yeah, you're Sixth Army. It's winter Stalingrad.
God damn it.
Fucking encircled Germans. Like, you have like less health because you're starving to death.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus
like, great.
You have the starvation debuff.
Yeah, it's fucking dark.
That's the new class with unique mechanics, starvation.
Yeah, it's a encircled soldier class.
That's the new mechanic, starvation.
The objective is to find supplies across the map.
Yeah, like
Well,
you're not capturing like objectives. Like it's like you're
You're capturing a loaf of bread and a can of soup.
Fucking, like,
you're looking at it wrong.
It's Germans versus like rats. Like one team is just rats, like fucking trying to hide.
Oh no, not the Assault 3 rat.
Dog, I think you're all looking at. I think it is Stalingrad 2 now. You've got me convinced. The new mechanic is starving Germans. The new weapon aircraft type is supply drops from Goering. That's literally what it is. It's Stalingrad 2, boy.
It never comes.
It's literally just being supplied by air.
It's only one player on the Axis team gets to win. You have to like escape on the aircraft.
I can't wait to fly over and drop you guys a can of soup.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Land
that
in
is
the
the new
place.
aircraft weapon type. It's just fucking
supply drop.
Supply drops. Goering will supply them by air.
God. That's.
I hope we get a can of bacon
brutal.
today.
It all makes sense now. It all makes sense.
That is so fucked up. Real people died. All right. So yeah. So one. I personally still think 1940 France. That's where I'm landing.
Gotta be.
It's gotta be one of them. The second one, Italy, maybe continuation war. Could be Leningrad or some shit. I don't know. That one, I feel like the second one's very up in the air, but I think one of them is going to be 1940. I just don't see
France makes the most sense.
Yeah.
He's so dope.
Yeah, France would be awesome because we get the French shit, which is cool in and of itself. And then you get all the French maps, which are great. And it's different
German
than Normandy
tanks.
maps. Yeah, you get the German early war tanks, right?
And and the tanks are kind of limited too. Like you're gonna have
you don't
slow
get, like,
traverse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's gonna be.
Get the
that'll
Moss.
be.
No semi-autos.
Yeah,
right?
you're not gonna really.
I think the
you
French
would have
had one, didn't they?
Yeah, you'll have one for the French.
I really hope it's like mega late.
It's gotta be though. Like that's just yeah. And then like I feel like you could make some really cool maps.
Oh yeah.
With early war France, like some really fucking cool maps. And then you could do Dunkirk too. Just like throw fucking Dunkirk in there
Yeah.
if you really want to like be like, ah fuck, we need to like give the French something. Like throw the fucking Brits in there with the BEF and just be like done with it. Like here you go. Like the BEF is there. Congrats.
I still think with your idea on how the progression might be reworked, I mean you can easily do that. Like I don't really give a shit if we're fighting Maginot Line and I'm playing as the British. Like that doesn't feel that out of line to me, to be honest, compared to like the other shit in the game. Like I think I would just shrug my shoulders at that.
Yeah, if you have the Soviets storming Normandy, then like I'm gonna be like, what the fuck?
Right, yeah, like that's out of line. But like, you know.
Yeah, no, the Brits, defending, somewhere in the Ardennes against the fucking.
I'm fine with that. Like, is it 100% historically accurate? No, but like, there weren't jumbos at D-Day either, so like, it's fine, right? If we're already at that point, I don't think that the Brits at the Ardennes is any more over that line, Oh, planes would be really cool. They'd be super limited. Although BF-109s would absolutely just dumpster everything.
I don't know. What's that one? The MD whatever, the French fighter? The MD-153? I can't remember what the hell it was. Those things were fucking god tier.
I guess that's kind of important. I guess you're right. I guess that is kind of like a big thing with the fall of France is that the French and the Allies were doing everything they could to like lose. And that doesn't really happen in game, so it's like kind of like honestly, it's kind of like the Germans, where like a lot of the German equipment in real life was actually pretty shit, but in game it's like really good because the way that they portray it.
Yeah, like you just like I feel like that would honestly probably be one of the more balanced campaigns if you really, because it's gonna be so limited on fire. It's
what semi-auto did the Germans get? The Gewehr 41?
Too late.
Too early, right?
Or they would get one of the prototypes, like the Schmeiser.
So you'd have to do,
The weapon comes too late, is what I meant.
Yeah, I got you.
I mean, that would be the only weird. I mean, but then you could just say like, okay, too, like the Germans and the French were both throwing like literally everything they had at it, right? So you
Well,
could just like start throwing in World War One weapons in there too, and just being
Well,
like,
that's
"Fuck
what
it."
the French semi-auto would be. Would be the RCS 1917.
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
But they also, I mean, like, the Gewehr 41 went into production in 1941, but wasn't it? There was prototypes of it going back to 40, right?
I'm sure there was some kind of prototype that was. I don't
I'm
know.
sure they had something. Because I mean, they kind of have to add the semi-auto for the French. Because weren't the French trying to actually like make that their standard rifle?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were trying to do a semi-auto as their standard rifle. And I know the Moss 36 is like one of the best bolt actions of the war.
I mean, you're gonna have.
For
I think that would be so cool too, because then you're gonna have like French dudes in their blue trench coats, like kind of World War One looking shit. Oh, that's gonna be
You'll
like that'll
actually
be
have regular French, and then you'll have the colonials with their uniforms
yeah,
from like
you'll
Africa,
have
like the Algerians and the Moroccans and stuff like that.
yeah, you could throw all kinds of crazy stuff into that kind of.
I actually would really like more. I think that they've missed a lot in terms of like having cool squads like that. Like a lot of the like, why don't we have any like Commonwealth Indian divisions? You know,
Good point.
Like
Hey, good question.
No squads. We don't have any of the fucking African American squads or units or any of the Asian American units.
You got the Tuskegee Airmen are in it.
Yeah, I guess you have the single squad.
Yeah,
the single guy,
the single dude.
The single red tail, you got him.
I still can't believe your guys was named Michael Jackson of all things too.
It's great. It's fucking phenomenal. I love it. I don't know, man. You could add the Italians too, and if you do France, like you can bring the Italians into it too. You can do.
Who got all of what, like 8 miles into France?
I mean, yeah, I didn't say they're gonna get far into France.
You click play and it just launches like Izanzo. Or whatever fucking
Izanzo just in the mountains like fuck.
Yeah. It's like crudely photoshopped over and it says like Alps.
Yeah, I think that's definitely got to be the next campaign. The other ones, like the last one.
What if it's not a World War II campaign? What if they go back?
Mistake.
Everybody always talks about forward. You guys, you don't think World War I would be cool, Enlightened?
I think it would be cool. I just don't think now would be the time to do it.
That's fair. You're right.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I think if you're gonna do a new progression system launch on blank, we don't know what.
You don't want to go.
Yeah, my Samsung.
Immediately go backwards. Yeah.
Now is not the time to do World War One. Now's the time to do like modern if you really wanted to or something.
Or just go modern. Just go to Korea.
Yeah, Korea. Yeah.
That could be the
wins is salivating at the mention of Korea.
Yeah, so we can, just shoot Chinese people. Great, that'll be awesome. Can't wait. That will go real well in the political landscape.
It would definitely. I don't think it would kill the game. Someone in chat said that would kill the game if they did World War One. I don't think it would kill the game. I just don't think it'd be the right move. I think World War One would be a really cool campaign. I think Enlisted actually plays really well if it would be World War One. Like,
yeah, I do too. Gunplay wise, 100%.
But I understand why people don't necessarily want that.
Yeah.
I think going too modern would be a bit of a stretch because then it's like, how the hell do you do like helicopters and stuff?
I'm just saying one of the several big events is definitely going to be Modern Conflict brought back. It has to be.
Yeah, that'll be coming back.
People have been asking about that like since like a month after it released.
I mean, it's been 2 years since we've like done Modern Conflict.
True.
Like they're bringing that bitch back. Yeah, they're bringing that bitch back. I hate to tell you that they're bringing that bitch back this year.
They're
fun. Going to.
I actually really liked it. Like I feel like when I played it, I was kind of like, "Oh, this is neat." And like now, like looking back, I'm like,
in hindsight, yeah.
Like they did like their April Fools, like that space one. That was really gimmicky, right? Like I played that a couple times. Yeah, like I played that a couple times and was like, like even looking back, I'm like, but like the fucking Modern Conflict was fun.
Did either of you guys play I think it was like 2016 or 2017, the Colonial Marines vs. Aliens knockoff event that they had?
No. That was before my time.
Yeah. Unfortunately not. But yeah, modern combat event would be sick. And if they like expanded on it, like imagine if they like made helicopters and got it to work.
You mean ported over helicopters?
Well, yeah, but like if you port, it's not just porting over. Like there's so much more you have to do,
That's true
right?
too.
Because
Yeah.
like one Enlisted runs on an
10
older engine,
Yeah.
right, version. So like that's gonna be a problem, and then you have to like
How do helicopters interact with everything?
yeah, and like it's like first person, right? And like you have to change the explosive AOE and how that interacts. Like there's a lot of challenges, but it would be so cool. Like you
That
know,
would be
just
cool.
Fortunate Son starts playing.
Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, rename the game to Drafted.
Jesus Christ.
Well,
That
yeah, is there any other? We went over everything. I don't know if there's any other. I
Several
guess
big events.
new types of ground vehicles. We kind of mentioned half tracks. I don't know what else it would be. I mean, like SPGs. We kind of have those, but like artillery.
Oh God, no.
SPAs, maybe.
Yeah, more
Like the
SPA.
verbal win.
Those aren't really like unique mechanics, though, right? Like
Maybe we'll get some of the crazy funny vehicles, you know, like the Sherman with the flail on it and the Avery and stuff.
It's gonna be a flak gun. It's just gonna be a flak 88 towed behind an Opel Blitz.
it's
You
gotta
gotta like
be.
unpack it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The thing that throws me off about it is it says unique mechanics, so it has to have something that's like different, right?
You would think.
Because like, but like, what could you add that's like fundamentally like has a mechanical difference, something that is different in terms of the rules and the way the vehicle operates.
It's actually just an armored bulldozer. It's a
Like
Tommy truck.
half tracks are like obvious, right? Like that makes sense. I don't know how
Yeah.
anything else, mechanically speaking, is like substantially different, unless it's like fucking Company of Heroes Sturm Tiger, where you have to like get out of the fucking tank and like fucking shove a shell into the front.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it can't even be floating tanks because they're already in the
have
game.
They
those.
already have them, yeah.
Yeah, it's already different. Oh, it could be landing craft.
Is that really a ground vehicle though?
Like, could it be like the marine?
Well, they already have the
They have the
LTV.
LVT. Yeah, they already have
Yeah.
the.
Yeah, they already have all that. Good point. Yeah,
That's what I mean. Is I'm like, I don't know what it could be because it's like what ground vehicles. Maybe they add like a recon vehicle.
unless they just
They
consider.
kind of already do because the Stewart and the Puma and everything were
Yeah, but
technically recon vehicles.
what if they?
Well, maybe not so much the
Yeah,
Puma.
but what if they add them as like an actual? So like with progression and rework, they add like a line that's like recon, like the Stewart and the Puma.
Oh, okay,
and
yes,
then you
that's
can
where you're going,
actually,
yeah.
like it's like a big. What you look through the cannon or maybe in the commander seat, you like look through and then you mark and it like puts a ping on every enemy that you mark or whatever.
I mean, then they better rework the motorcycle squads to
Yeah.
have that because those are motorcycle
Yeah.
recon.
Yeah, exactly, like scout vehicles in War Thunder.
Yeah, that would have to be
That's the only other mechanical thing that I could like possibly imagine.
Yeah, I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
It's actually just like the big mortar squads from Company Heroes too. They just walk on. You just fire the 120.
Yeah, mortar half tracks.
Mortar half track, yeah.
Don't
Horses.
know. Yes, it's Red Dead Redemption. We're just gonna run around with our MP40. Jesus.
All right.
What if the new ground vehicle type is like the little Goliath? It's the remote control bomb on tracks.
Fuck you. You just gave them that idea.
It's a Brin carrier. That's what they're gonna add. They're gonna add the Brin carrier so Enlightened can lose it.
Lose it,
yeah.
First 10 minutes of the game.
Guys, I lost everything. What do you mean? I lost everything.
It's 30 seconds into the match.
I am so mad that KO2 updated before I could record that game. It's lost to the internet now. Yeah.
Thank God. Thank God.
Enlightened wins the KO3 like Master
yeah, the Master Tournament.
Master League, yeah.
We just post that clip.
This dumbass lost his Brin carrier 10 seconds into the game.
There was a squad inside that Brin carrier. They had families, man.
Yeah, I was an idiot. That was not my finest moment.
All right. Yeah, any other railway artillery? Any other minor things anybody wants to mention?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head at this point.
I'm just excited for for the progression, this dev blog for progression, I feel like it's going to answer a lot of questions, hopefully, and yeah, boycott's worse.
Boycott.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe. I will throw that out there. Maybe. I think
we don't know.
Maybe.
Right? There's no way to know. There's an argument to be made that it did matter and that it did have an effect, but I think there's also a pretty valid argument that they already were working on this stuff. And maybe they were, but in my mind, if they were working on this stuff, then all it does is prove that this needed to happen anyway, or that it needed to be called for anyway. Right?
Yeah, no, again,
that's how I view it, because it's like, okay, well, if this changed, which is different than 2022, then obviously they saw it as an issue, which just means that we were right to call for that.
I mean, I'll say,
and it's unfortunate timing, but
I would say that if anything, the boycott raised awareness for communication, and communication has vastly improved.
Yes, and whether
so
that,
I'll argue that,
and whether it improved because of it or just happened to coincide, I don't know.
But, we can never. Like we're never going to know.
There's genuinely no way to know, right? If this all happened, 3 months from now, I would argue that it is because of the boycott. But it happened so soon after that. I mean, they have a small dev team, so it's easier to steer the ship. But like, I don't know. Who knows, right? This could have already been planned. He did comment, but KO Fox commented, but he didn't say like
anything of real substance,
right? Like, and he said things were already being worked on, right? Like, I don't think that like the boycott changed progression. Like, it's not like definitely not. But did the boycott make this roadmap come out? I don't know. Maybe you can make the argument that this roadmap does feel a little rushed a little bit in some ways. Yeah, so maybe because of that, maybe not. I don't know. But no way to know for sure, at least. I'm just glad that we got a roadmap, and I think that's kind of the final note, right? I'm glad to have some information and
even if the timing on things are off, at least we know what's coming now.
Exactly, right? And that is another important thing to mention. And we probably should mention at the beginning that in no way, shape, or form is this roadmap like set in stone. Right? Like we could get one campaign this year and that's fine. Right? Like this doesn't mean all of these things have to happen this year. This doesn't mean that they have to happen at all. And it also doesn't mean that anything not on here doesn't get added on here, right? This is just a general roadmap, a general idea, and no one should be trying to hold the devs perfectly accountable for everything on here, because that's unrealistic, right? And all it's going to do is make them not want to do roadmaps if people get mad about it,
Sometimes projects run under time, and most of the time they run overtime.
Almost all the time, yeah. And that's fine.
Yeah.
So, like, look at Hell Let Loose. Brits were supposed to come out, like, mid last year.
Yeah.
Still no idea when those are coming.
No mortars. Yeah, it happens. We get it.
Yeah.
At least we know it's coming, right? And, like, maybe things are delayed, and that's fine. At least we know it's on its way,
Yeah, it all depends on how much progress, Dark Flow gets through with, like major things like the progression in the UI.
Exactly.
Just focus on the progression. Like if there's one thing they gotta focus on is, please God, focus on the progression.
And I think they know that. I think the progression is good to
the
go
big one.
or close to, because they said that we should be getting a dev blog this week for it. So
yeah.
All right. Last chance closing remarks. Nobody?
None here.
Cool.
Pumpin' Heroes 3 comes out in a few days.
Woo! I don't have a code for it. They never emailed me back.
They never emailed you back?
I should actually check that. Maybe it did. I haven't checked in a while. But, follow Enlightened on those 2 links. Enlightened Enlisted on both Twitch and YouTube. Follow me on Twitch. Follow Jason on Book. And...
yes, on Book.
Yeah, thanks for watching. I'm sure we'll do another one of these probably soon, depending on how big this progression thing is. I don't know if it'll be fully different, but we shall see. Gale Fox said the transfer button won't be needed in updated Enlisted. Bodes well for what Enlightened was saying. Actually, does it? I don't know. We're gonna have to just see about that. We won't get bogged down. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next podcast.
Thank you for watching.
Bye bye.
See ya.